We said earlier that this right here is a choice. Yes? What's your name?
Esperanza.
Esmeralda?
Esperanza.
Esperanza? Sorry, I'm old and can't hear. Can I use you for a second?
Sure.
Can you come up here?
Yeah.
Esperanza. That's a cool name.
Thank you.
Means hope?
Yep.
That's cool. Okay. Hold on to that for a second. Okay. Now, I want you for just a second to imagine that you have been asked to sing the national anthem at the next Super Bowl, halftime of the Super Bowl. Okay? Can you imagine that?
Yeah, my heart is racing.
You started feeling that already?
Yep.
Okay, so regardless, you've been asked to sing at the Super Bowl, so you'll have millions, tens of millions of people watching you. There's no band, it's just you. The beginning of it's not halftime, it's always the beginning of the Super Bowl, right? The national anthem, right? Okay, now what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to really pretend you're there, and I'd like you to sing to the class, the top of your lungs, like you would if it were the national anthem. Just go ahead and barrel it out.
Okay.
Just let it fly.
I think I would.
You remember the words, right?
Yeah. No, they're like leaving my mind right now.
So, where was our Einstein brain?
Yeah.
So, but no, really, just go ahead and I think it starts. Oh, say, can you see?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? I think that's probably.
That's as far as you want to go right now.
Yeah.
Let's give her a hand. Now, Esperanza, let me ask you this. So you said you noticed some of these things happening, yes?
Yeah, the breathing, I definitely felt an attention.
Okay, now, if you were at your house and you were vacuuming, nobody was around, or in your shower, you knew nobody was around,
That wouldn't be happening.
would you have any problem singing? You could probably sing at the top of your lungs, right?
I would just be jamming.
Yeah. So, here's my question for everybody. What is the difference? Because it's the same song in both cases. And she's doing the same thing in both cases. What's the difference between here or in front of tens of millions of people or at your house? What's the difference if you're doing the same thing in virtually every way? What's the difference?
She's not worried
Okay,
about.
explain what you mean. What about people?
I'm like, wouldn't be afraid of ridicule or anything at home versus on stage. You know, if someone's not happy with a performance, they're just like, boo, get off stage, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's stressful, especially with media coverage and everything. Like, that would be on the internet forever.
So,
You don't feel safe.
what is it about? So and this is really, this is the heart of the matter. When I said we need to get this, I wasn't kidding. If we can get this, we suddenly realize we can do something about it. Because here's the thing. There was, and you can go have a seat, by the way, and good job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, you're warm. She was sweating. Somebody from Canada called me up. They were doing this newsletter or blog or something. I don't remember, a podcast. And they asked me, they were asking me a bunch of questions about stress, and they said, what do you think is the greatest misconception that people have about stress? Of all the things that there is to do with stress, she said, what is the biggest misconception that people have about stress? In other words, what are we thinking wrongly? Which way are we thinking wrongly? And that's not a judgment on us. It's just we've been trained the wrong way. And and here's what I said, and this may be the same thing. I said the belief that stress happens to us from an external something. That's the biggest misconception. Kind of like a virus or a bacteria. Somebody sneezes and we all go, and we breathe in the pathogens that you just sneezed out. And we think stress is the same way. He's making me stressed. She's making, that professor's making, that my mom or my dad is making me stressed. In my opinion, and I'm pretty sure this is accurate, that couldn't possibly be the case, that somebody else is doing it to you. Now, how could I prove that?
Well, even just what I was saying about how, like, thinking about all the people watching me and how it would be on the internet for the rest of my life, that's like me making myself nervous.
Exactly. She was having thoughts, and some of those thoughts were this. Now, the way we could prove this, going further on this, is, are there people who, if they stood here, and you're one of the probably 5 people who've ever actually sung, so nice job.
Yeah, I would have ran.
Yeah. How many in here would have, ain't no way I'm getting up there no matter what? How many would have said, no, I probably could have? Is there anyone in here probably maybe could have, right? So it's the same thing, and yet some of you, and you especially, you said, hey, no way I'm getting over. You're back row, and that's where I'm staying because it's the safest place. That's where I always am, too, is the back row. And yet some of you, oh, no problem, I can do that. Or, it'd be difficult, but I could still do it. So it's the same thing in each case, but some are thinking one way about it, and others are thinking other ways about it. Can I ask you what your name is? Nicole. So Nicole, this is what she's saying. Get me the heck out of here. You want me to do that? No, I'm bolting the other way. Because she's saying, at some point, this thought is going to happen. Oh, right? And the body goes, okay, this is what you're saying. Boom, I'm going to turn on stress. But it is a choice. It is, see, I believe this, and this is what we'll kind of end today with. And we'll dive into this really heavily on Tuesday. I don't think anything, there's always exceptions. I don't think anything is inherently stressful. Until we get it that we're doing it to ourselves, we'll always be at the mercy of things that are so-called stressful. But as soon as we get this, I'm doing it to me, we immediately start to gain control. Otherwise, does that make sense? If we keep saying, well, it's my mom, it's my dad, it's my teacher, it's my coach, it's my this, it's my that. If we keep saying that, it will always be something that's making me. And there's nothing you can do about that. You're the victim. Now, if you want to stay the victim and live that, that's okay with you. I don't care. But if you want to get the upper hand on this, then the first thing you do is say, this is a choice I'm making about how I'm interpreting this situation, because there's nothing that everybody's going to be stressed out about. I can't think of anything. I know plenty of people who would love to die. My grandpa was one. His wife had died 10 years earlier, he had a belief, and whether it's true or not, I don't know for sure, but he had a belief that life doesn't end at death. I don't know if that, I have a feeling that's true. I've kind of been there. But he wanted every day to not be here. Wasn't scared to death about life. Wasn't scared about death at all. So we say, last thing, what's the number one social fear in our country? Public speaking is number one. I've seen surveys where people are more afraid of public speaking than dying. And yet, there's plenty of people who stand on a pulpit or stand somewhere, no big deal, no, because they're not saying this about the public speaking. They're going, oh, no, I can handle that, piece of cake. So the message for today, 2 or 3, stress happens to us, or we create this stress by virtue of this right here, the belief that there's a bear, and this is what we're going to get into on Tuesday, is this right here. And this kicks on, but it's only supposed to last this long, not all day. And that's what we will be playing with next week. Okay? Got it? Okay.